All right, three, two, one. We see the little live record button, which means it's time for another edition of the Bid Nerds. Welcome, everybody, to your daily nerd out on the most interesting cars on cars and bids, and bring a trailer and sometimes some other auction sites, too. My name is John Polnik. I'm your host, and we're coming to you live from Las Vegas, Nevada, right on the Las Vegas Strip. We're the best live show in Las Vegas because we're the only one, I believe. And you hear my partner snickering at me because he thinks I'm a dork. But he's wrong. I'm just a nerd. That's Michael Deeb coming to you from the Bay Area. We are not in the same room. I want to say bi-coastal because that sounds cool, but that's not what we are. We're like
No,
bi-state, and that doesn't sound cool at all. So I don't know. Whatever.
we're not even bi-curious, so I don't know. It's not going to
It's true. Say goodbye, Michael Deeb. No, that was a little haha funny. So this show, what do we do on this show, Michael Deeb? We discuss the most interesting cars on cars and bids and bring a trailer every day. We talk about the cars, we talk about their history, talk about the technical stuff a little bit, and then we make predictions about what we think they're going to sell for when those cars reach the auction block, or if they'll sell at all, because a lot of times they don't, but most of the time they do. We keep track of our bids and our predictions, and we have a little bit of a competition going on. And it's Tuesday, it's early in the week, it's early in the year. Where are we? We've only done one show this year. We do it every day,
right?
But this is the second show of the year. Where are we for the week, Michael Deeb? What's going on? How was yesterday?
Well, it's interesting. Everything sold yesterday, which is I'm just sort of noticing nothing just bid out. It looked like everything sold,
and it was all nuts. It was all crazy. 2021 is already starting off like, what the hell?
People are being cavalier with their wallet, man. Really quickly, if we do a quick rundown, Ford Contour SVT was a no reserve auction on Cars and Bids. And you conservatively bet under my $11,000 bid at $10,000, and that car sold for $9,299. That was your first win of the day,
and it shouldn't have even went for $5,000. That is a awful car. Here's the thing. Deeb. We're about to go over the numbers from yesterday, all right? And there's like I won a couple. I think you wind up. No spoilers, but I think you beat me for the day 3-2.
Yeah.
But none of us deserved to win. Neither one of us deserved to win. We were so wrong on everything. Any W's in the W column are undeserved. Yeah, we don't know what we're talking about.
You and I were watching the auctions, and I was talking to my wife, and I was like, holy hell, we are completely off today.
Yeah.
So anyway, this 1993 Porsche 964 C2 black and black with like $30,000 in receipts. Gorgeous car. You and I both would have loved to have that car. And I would say that our bids at 70 for me and 75,000 for you we were also betting on the P car platform, which you and I both think is kind of rubbish. But that car wound up bringing a pretty strong $78,250 and sold at that price. And JP, when the car hit 78, the seller came out and said reserve is off. And that car, which was being fought over, up to that point, only got one more bid and then sold. It was really a weird auction. We both think that car would have brought maybe another $7,000 at least. It was on even just any other platform, but certainly on Bring a Trailer.
Yeah.
Quickly running through this, the 96 911 Targa on BAT. I was suspicious of this car. I don't know, being re-leathered, having had a collision at some point in its life, showing up on its Carfax history. I thought some of these things might hold this car back. They did not. So when I said 57, you conservatively bet the under at 55. That car sold $71,000, which is much closer to what that car should be worth. That could be a problem. I don't know that was well bought.
This is one of those cars too that I think, when you and I do this, a lot of times you and I listen to each other, and we listen to our BS, and you kind of talked me off the ledge of this car. I personally don't like the color combination of this car. I think it's hideous. But my gut was telling me it's like, but Porsche people love hideous color combinations. I mean, the fact is, the vast majority of people who are into Porsches like the ugly ones like this one. And this one truly, truly, truly was an ugly one. But hey, whatever. There it is. Somebody got a teal green
I
911.
spent 2 years with Mercedes-Benz, and 80% of the cars they sell are black,
Yeah.
white, and silver. That's 80% of the cars are those three colors, and that's it. So I would say there's a similar thing with Porsche, that a vast majority of the Porsches are black, silver, and guards red, especially 911s more than anything else. And so when you see a car teal, it winds up having this incredible appeal because it's an off color. So there you go. Another interesting car, jumping over to Bring It Trailer, just staying on Bring It Trailer, but jumping over to this BMW. Sorry, JP. Let's look at the Mercedes. The Mercedes S600 Rentec. I said 65, and you bet the under at 60 for this conversion car done by Rentec with the V12 SL. That car brought a whopping 84,000. Again, 20 grand over my bid.
Just blew my mind. How is it possible?
Yeah, crazy, huh? So, and it sold at that price. It just sold. That car also just met the reserve and then promptly sold, which was really interesting. So there you go. 84,000 for a 50,000 mile used SL 600 with a V12.
That's just mind-numbingly what the F.
That car could snap its transmission in half if you abuse it. But anyways, and then the last one, the cool car that you and I would both have taken home for our own bids, was the 2011 BMW 328 Xi M Sport package with the manual gearbox, and just like, I can't remember, JP, like 65,000 miles. This car was barely broken in. Yeah. The right colors too, silver with black and the aluminum inlay, not the damn burl walnut that BMW Mercedes force feed into every one of their stupid cars. This car is really cool. I could see you turning that car out, and I would love to drive it. You know, I love wagons almost as much as you love cabriolets. So I said 22.7. You said 21, which kind of shocked me because I know you love the car. Well, we were both wrong. This no reserve auction hammered at $27,000. And I point out again, JP, the original MSRP on this car was $50,000. Like $100 or $200. So this car sold for like 55% of its original MSRP 9 years later and 65,000 miles, well out of warranty. That's incredibly strong.
You know, and the one thing is there's anyone at BMW as a manufacturer who's watching these auctions and paying attention to what you can learn from these things, what they're doing somewhere in an office or in a conference room at BMW is they're sitting there going, "Yep, we better not make wagons and we better not make manuals." No, excuse me, sir. There's a guy in the back of the room going, "No, that's the opposite of No, clearly this is data that says nobody wants a sporty manual utility car. We'll just never make anything like that at all." And they're going, no, I think this means you should. No, we understand. We got the picture. I mean, it's just BMW is so effing stupid that they don't see this and immediately go, "Oh, maybe we should make something like this again." Ugh, I hate BMW.
Auto about once a month, Auto Week do something in their email blast, daily email blast, where they'll show us a European car that's not destined for the North American market. The new Volkswagen Passat, which I think is called like a CC or something, comes in an R-line wagon, and the show car is like the bright, like cobalt metallic blue sport wagon with it's got like really cool front air dam and rocker panels, and probably has like 19-inch wheels or 20-inch wheels. That car is not coming to North America. And JP, I saw pictures of it and it hurt my heart. It's so freaking beautiful and so perfect a car. If you want to go to the mountains, it's all-wheel drive. If you want to go on a weekend trip or the dogs.
Do they make one with a stick and everything?
I don't know if it comes with a stick per se. It probably does in Europe. But that car is not destined for North America. It's by far the best looking wagon on the market today. It's gorgeous. And
they still make Scirocco's there too. So what the hell? I mean,
oh my goodness, I know. That's awesome.
Oh,
awesome.
There's a little tease for something to come. Well, there it is. We've talked about yesterday's cars and how well or how poorly we did on predicting the prices for those. Let's see if we can get a little closer on cars today. What are our cars today? I guess let's start with our star car. there's kind of a big one that's just like, wow, if you saw this video, if you saw the thumbnail for this video, you're going, holy crap, what is that?
Yeah. I assume you're talking about the Unimog U500, which looks
How
like
could I be talking about anything else? Look at that car, guys.
Does that not look like a moon vehicle, like something you'd see at a space station? It's just ungodly. It's crazy. Unimogs in the 50s and 60s were really cool utilitarian vehicles made by Mercedes-Benz. They were overland all-terrain vehicles that were used primarily for agriculture and, of course, military use. But this thing almost looks like a semi-truck with no hauling ability. It's just unbelievable that thing is road legal in the United States. This car is brought to us, JP, is offered out of Concord, I believe Maryland, or MA's Massachusetts, right? Concord, Massachusetts. Yeah. There you go. It's apparently just got 19,200 miles on it. It's an 8-speed manual. It's both four-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. This has a 6.4 liter turbocharged diesel inline six that makes, and wait for it, these numbers are awesome. Wait do you hear this? 260 horsepower and 700 foot-pound of torque. So this basically, this thing will climb the Hoover Dam on the outside. So if you are looking for the coolest car to bring to what's that event up in the Pacific Northwest where they jump in the mud?
Mogfest.
Yeah, if you want to have the coolest car at Mogfest, get off your wallet because, JP, this thing is sitting at an incredible $125,500 on 36 bids, but it's still this thing is actually going to close during the show. It's got 11 minutes left.
Oh, wow. Yeah, this thing is the ultimate off-road vehicle. I love how Spartan those rear seats are. Really, a lot of people take these modern ones and the older ones too, and they'll put RV cabs on the back of them and stuff like that because they are designed to be, obviously it's as utility vehicle as you can get, and they're modular in many ways. So, this not just lockers, but front and rear diff locker. It's just, every year up in Oregon, just outside of Portland, they do a thing called Mogfest, and it's a celebration of all European off-road vehicles. And it started out to be so just cool. People in Mogs, but then people brought Vanagon Synchros and Volkswagen things and Pinskowers, and it's just a fantastic festival. 4 days out in this massive property. They dig a big hole in the middle of this huge field, and they make all these 4x4 obstacles, and they put up moon towers, like big light moon towers. So you can be off-roading till like 1 a.m, and they shut it down. Everybody goes to sleep and does it again.
JP, I'm begging you to take me one year.
We'll have to go this August if they have it. Of course, like every other event, they canceled it. But I say if it's back on for 2021, let's do it. So what's your bid? It's getting close to the end. It's at 100.
Yeah, so
125.
125. Last night I put 150, but there has not been a lot of action on this morning. So JP, is this car going to make? I'm going to say 135,000 is my bid.
Well, let's see here. This is definitely one of those situations where platform. Will this sell here on Cars and Bids? Does the right person that has the money and knows what this is worth? This is a $200,000 or more dollar vehicle.
At least.
Yeah, you are not getting one of these for less than 180 anywhere, except here maybe. I don't know if is there a reserve on this? Does it say? There's got to be a reserve.
There is. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's no way it sells for 135. I'll go 150, and frankly, I don't think that sells because again, this is a $200,000 or more dollar vehicle.
And that was my original bid, was that this car should bring at least 150. It's amazing because as old as it is, it only has 19,000 miles on it. Yeah. But what makes it so incredible is that this unusual vehicle is titled in Massachusetts. This car is you could basically transfer transferred that title to almost any state in the union. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, you say it's old, but for Unimog, in the Unimog world, this is like a brand new one, because they've made them for so long. And when you think of a Unimog, you're usually thinking of those, 60s ones. Our friend Rami Mirza has one sitting over at German Motors in the parking lot there. It's we might have to get that cleaned up. If this car does well on Cars and Bids, I think you'll see Rami's on Cars and Bids soon. But I'm afraid Doug should have turned this one down because I don't think his audience is going to bring the money for this. I'm sad to say.
I just, and it's just amazing. I mean, JP, it's 2021. That vehicle that we're looking at that looks basically brand new is 17 years old. That's still crazy.
Well, yeah, I mean, who's going to commute in that thing? It's sitting in a barn or a shed or a Kwanzaa hut or wherever. I mean, this is only getting used for the coolest car in the world. Yeah. All right. Moving on. Let's see what else we got. I know we've got some pretty dang cool cars today. We've got one down. What else we got?
On P-Car, JP, let's take a look at another all-terrain vehicle, but from a different
era. Why do you keep picking cars from P-Car?
JP, I actually picked this car for you. As soon as I saw this thing, it made me think of you because we have covered a couple of really cool, I believe,
how is this on P-Car? What?
I know. It doesn't make any sense.
What is going on?
Where do you find another one in this nice a condition? They're claiming that this is 36,000 original miles on a 1972 Jeep Wagoneer SJ, which I believe is top of the line. The interior on this thing, JP, is stunning. Houndstooth bent sheets on the front and the back. There's wood displays on the doors. I mean, this thing is stunning. It's an what is it? What's the vehicle? I wrote it down somewhere. I believe this thing is a V8, right? It's a small 360 cubic inch V8, and it's all-wheel drive. It doesn't make a lot of power. It's like 125 horsepower, like 200 pound-foot of torque. But I imagine, again, this thing will crawl up anything. And, I mean, this is the original SUV. I mean, that's the godfather of every cool SUV you see up and down the street. So, I don't know. The color, the condition, the low miles, the story on this car, I'm all in. I think this thing is awesome.
That is really, really pretty. The old ones like this, you just never ever see. The basically the 80s and early 90s ones are the ones that everyone is kind of like latched on to.
Sure.
The luxurious versions, but this is the Spartan original SUV, like you said, and that color.
Oh, man.
Do you know why Jeeps are always? You always see Jeeps that are like bright blue and bright green and orange like that of the 60s and 70s. All the CJ7s and 5s.
Is that so you can find them when they go off road?
That is precisely. If you get stuck out somewhere and your vehicle breaks down and they got to send out a search party, it's going to be a heck of a lot easier to find you if your vehicle is bright orange or signal orange or something like that. Makes sense.
Yeah. But when I was growing up, the McGee family that I grew up with, Willie McGee was my best friend growing up. His family had an International. And it was, I can't remember if it was a Harvester or Scout. I don't remember the model, but it was basically, it looked like that basic tub with a couple of bench row seats. And, Willie McGee was one of 9 children. So his Irish Catholic family had to shove all these kids into that International so they could take them to church or take them to dinner or whatever they were doing to take them to the, store, to school. That was their vehicle. And so I kind of grew up, in the backseat of one of those things, and so that just reminds me of my childhood. JP, that car's doing pretty okay. It's sitting at $25,000. It's been on, I counted it up last night. It was at $25,000 on 10 bids. It's at $29,000 right now. So I'm guessing it's probably on about 15 bids. I still think that thing is going to bring $38,000, and that would be amazing for the platform. They could do that, and if it reaches that, then I think it sells. But if it doesn't go anywhere, I don't think that thing's going to sell under 35. So it has to break 35 to sell. I see 38,000 is my bid.
Yeah, it looks like there's pictures of the original owner. It looks like it is the original owner selling this thing too, or at least the original family. You got to wonder why someone would sell something like this if it's their family. I didn't read the whole ad. What's that?
It was a one-owner car until last year. I think the seller bought it and is now flipping. cleaned it up.
Oh, I see. Okay, so somebody got it.
Yeah.
I wonder if they got it from from some kind of, I don't know, like a estate sale or something like that. Because you got to wonder who would sell something like this. I mean, I get that if you're, I mean, what we're seeing in like the big auctions like Barrett Jackson and stuff like that, you see just a sea of Mustangs and Camaros and muscle cars, from the 60s and 70s that are being inherited by the millennial family members that just don't want that lame stuff. But something like this, this, you would think that if your grandfather had this or your father had this and you grew up in something like this, why the heck would you sell something like this? I mean, this is just an heirloom. This is going to be one of the last vehicles that's going to be allowed to be on the road, because I truly believe that the end of auto enthusiasm, that's going to be somewhere in the next, call it 20 years or sooner. The last vehicles that enthusiasts will be able to drive will be off-road vehicles, because that's the last place that the electro grid and all that kind of stuff will affect. So they'll let you drive vehicles by yourself without computer interaction out there in the hills. And so this car has legs.
Yeah, JP, that's a great take. And I think there could be a real renaissance for the type of overland vehicles that basically they exist in a space that's not governed. So that would be pretty amazing. Yeah.
What was your bid on this?
So JP, I think 38,000, and it could sell at that price. But it's hard to put a number because there's not a lot of comps.
This thing, it would, on the right platform, I could see it going for over 50, maybe even higher. There's sky on this thing because it's so darn nice, with the heritage and everything. But I don't think P-car market's going to be it. But I don't know. We'll see. You said 38. I'll say 35. I think it stalls out.
Okay.
I mean, 35. I think it's worth way more than that, and I would love to own something like this and keep it forever, but unfortunately, I don't think this is the platform for it.
All right. And JP, on the Unimog, I said 135. What was your take on that car? I don't remember.
I was 150, but I didn't think it'd sell.
150? Yeah, you don't think it'd sell. Okay. All right, cool. All right, so should we stay with the trucks, or do you want to go right to the VW Scirocco?
Oh, come on, you said it now. We got to go to the Scirocco. That's this is quite the lineup today. This might be the coolest car there ever was ever. Look at that. A 16-valve Scirocco in black.
With just 78,000 original miles, JP, out of Cumming, Georgia. This is the icon of cool for kids, our generation in high school. This was the car, man. This was really hot. 1.8 liter, normally aspirated, only 125 horsepower. Somehow the car and the driving experience were greater than the sum of the parts and the equipment and the spec sheet, because these things are a hoot to drive. This guy takes a walk around video and he stands at the back of the car, and the exhaust on this, JP, I know from memory, is completely stock, because Volkswagen have a very distinct exhaust note in this era, and this car has that. It sounds like a brand new car. That being said, there's something weird going on with these seats. It looks like they were recovered in this like cheap Grand Auto upholstery, JP, and it's really pissing me off. There's a photo at the end of the stack that looks like got no upholstery to put in seats, but he didn't do it before the sale. I think that's going to hurt him. What cost him maybe $400 to get that stuff installed? I think it's going to cost him thousands in the value on this car. This car is languishing with 3.5 hours to go. It's on like 7 bids at $5,000 for a sub 100,000 mile 16-valve Scirocco. Did I miss some big rust spots underneath, JP, that you can explain to me why this car is not bringing more money? I thought you were going to buy it,
I mean, at this price, when does the auction end?
3.5 hours from now.
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely be paying attention to it today. Look at the engine looks pretty darn dirty. This car, I wonder what it looked like before they did that, all that interior work. I mean, looking at the underside of this car, there's a lot of surface rust there. I mean, this is definitely an East Coast car. So I suspect, and you could see the headliner too in a couple of those shots. You could see how ratty that was. So, I mean, it's a wonderful looking car, but upon close inspection, it looks like there are going to be some issues. Now, the question is, how does it drive? That's the. Oops, sorry guys, lost us there. If it drives well, maybe this is your opportunity to get into a Scirocco that you can love and drive and fix up when you find the right seats. And because eventually you'll be on Craigslist or somewhere and you'll come across someone selling the right seats, and they won't be that expensive. So finding the right seats front and back, I suspect finding the back seats is actually be a lot easier than finding a pair of front seats. But yeah, I think that's probably why it's not really taken off from price. It's nice to see that the dashboard isn't all cracked up. That was the thing I was most concerned about looking at. I was going, oh, here we go. It's going to be just roached out. And no, it's fine.
But look at the steering wheel. Looks like it fell off, rolled out the window on the freeway, and rolled down the freeway and got run over by about 100 trucks. There are so many scratches and gouges in the leather on the steering wheel alone. This car has had some sort of weird history. The door cards look okay. The dash looks okay. The motor looks fine except for the dirt. But man, you really inspect the seats don't make any sense, and the undercarriage doesn't make any sense. It's just really weird. As such, this car is just languishing. JP is crazy to me. 7 bids on a 78,000 mile Scirocco. It's at $5,000. I don't know, man. I still think someone should steal it. I wrote $14,000 last night, but I am changing my bid. I don't think this car is going to bring, I'm going to say $9,500. And
okay,
I don't think
so you think it's going to rally? I mean, 9,500. Yeah. That's a big rally. That's almost twice as much as what it's at right now in 3 hours. Is what you're kind of thinking.
There's got to be a mechanic out there that thinks he can cure that like rusty stuff himself. That he can spot weld this car to maintain enough integrity. The rest is cosmetic. You clean it up and drive it. The driving video the car sounds healthy.
Boy. Yeah, I think it rallies, but I think it's under. I think it goes 8,000, and may or may not sell. I don't know. I mean, I'll be looking at this auction. I'll definitely be considering it. So this thing looks super dope. I'd love to clean it up and have a Scirocco in the garage again. That would be awesome.
Oh
I don't think I would flip this one. This would be such an awesome car to own. Yeah.
JP, I hope we're watching together. I'd love for you to get that car. That'd be
well,
so cool.
I mean, do we got to go to Boston and pick up a Mercedes? We could just swing down through Georgia and pick up a Scirocco.
I actually got an enclosed quote yesterday that was reasonable. $2,200 to ship the car to Vegas. So, anyway, we'll see.
Okay, that's interesting. So stay tuned for that little tip, that little drop.
There you go.
Cool to see that car get here. All right, what else we got?
Yeah. Okay, so keeping with our truck theme today, JP, we are looking at cars and bids on a 1995 Land Rover Defender 90. This is an NAS, which is North American spec, right? Am I saying that right?
Correcto.
Yeah, this is a very cool 5-speed manual. 98,000 miles. It is beluga black, and it has the black soft top, which Doug DeMiro states is actually a very rare color combination. This is powered by the 3.9 liter V8. These are all-wheel drive, and they go anywhere. Land Rover brought these in for a couple of years, and from the moment they stopped bringing these cars to the United States, these little mother chickens have held their value more than any car I can think of in recent memory. That being said, I'm actually shocked this one is as inexpensive as it sits at the moment. With 2 hours and 45 minutes to go, this car is on 24 bids at just $36,000 out of Larchmont, New York. So way up there on the East Coast. It is interesting to note that there was AutoCheck says that there was a collision with another vehicle in New York in December of 2001, but no other additional information is given. So I don't know if that's what might be holding it back, or is it that it's got 100,000 miles? The company back east in Boston, Massachusetts, called Copley Motor Cars, who have just opened a satellite location in LA, are Land Rover specialists. They have probably sold more Land Rover Defenders than Land Rover themselves, and they always have about a dozen of these vehicles in stock, and they seem to set the market. They get big money for their low mile cars. So I'm just curious to know what they would be offering this car for if they cleaned it up and had it themselves. So 100,000 miles, collision on Carfax, $36,000. You know, could this be your opportunity to buy black on black stiff Defender 90 under 50 grand?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's definitely it's got some East Coast issues with, you know, that aluminum body on the steel frame. They're just prone to rust in so many really awful places. We've seen the values of these shoot up and then kind of come back down and then go back up again, and then they've really they've so I mean, it was just what is it, about 7 years ago they started allowing the original Series 2s to be imported from other countries, whereas you couldn't do that before, and that was a big problem. So the ones that were here, everyone loved them, but that was all you could get in importing a gray market. I mean, this is one of the most common platforms of vehicles on the planet, except here.
Wow.
You know, so now that you see all those cars from Spain and, you know, in Africa and they've just, or in South America, I mean, there's just gajillions of them.
Right.
They were all brought in and then they were converted. You know, our friend Rami put that amazing Khan body kit on the one, stuff like that.
Yep.
The problem with most of those is that those are right-hand drive, so finding a left-hand drive one is a little bit difficult. But there was a huge flood of the old ones that came in, and it really affected the value of all the Rovers. But the big thing, this being an NAS, so it has the big engine. This one's a manual, so that's great. I guess that's the thing that's surprising me the most. If this were an automatic, you'd be going, okay, yeah, that kind of makes sense that it's maybe, you know, going to have a hard time, because the automatic and that V8 are just dog crap. They're just not a good powertrain. But with a manual, you put some exhaust on this thing, and it's a monster. You know, this is not a vehicle I'd like to drive across the country, although I would, but it is not a road driving car.
Right. I would think this thing, black on black with a stick. Excuse me, JP.
Yeah, no, black on black is definitely the color. Yeah.
Black on black with a stick, I would think this would be a $65,000 car. And so it's sitting at 36. I mean, I don't think this thing's going to break 50. So I think this is somebody's opportunity to kind of snag if the Carfax thing doesn't bother you. Otherwise, what the hell?
Yeah, I don't think the Carfax thing is anything. I mean, I think the only cars that really, it had an accident. It's not. Is it a salvage title? I mean, the Carfax. I've said it before, and I really ramble on about it, but it just pisses me off when people go, "Oh, it's got a bad Carfax." No, it just has an accident, big whoop, and it doesn't look like it was major. So I don't know. I don't think the Carfax has anything to do with it. I think it's more. If anything, I think it's the state of all the not Defenders, but the Series 2s that are now in the country have brought the values of the NAS ones down a little bit. And and I think the fact that that's
a good point.
There's a lot of corrosion underneath it. I think that's probably, you know.
Yeah, I think those are two good points. JP, one more question and I'll give you my bid. This vehicle's on Cars and Bids. If this were on Bring Trailer, do you think in other words, is Cars and Bids the correct platform for this, or should it be just somewhere else entirely?
You know, I mean, it's ironically, it should probably be on Bring a Trailer, because, you know, it's ironic because Doug DeMuro owns one of these and he's famous for owning one of these. That's one of his first vehicles that he ever really talked about, and he always talks about. So he is kind of the Land Rover Defender guy. So it makes sense that this is where one of those should sell. If you're a Doug DeMuro fan, you would think you're a fan of Defenders. But I don't know. I mean, look, the auction's still got, you know, 2.5 hours to go, and it does have a lot of action. So this one could really rally at the end. Getting over $50,000 is, I mean, you're talking about another 14 grand from where it is now. That's not impossible. Does this thing bring more on Bring a Trailer? Probably. I think the bigger test for Cars and Bids right now is going to be that Unimog. So the combination of those two vehicles today on this platform will be interesting.
Yeah. Well, our Unimog was only bid to $131,000.
Wow. And it was a no sale.
Did not. And it did not sell at that. So very interesting. I'm going to go ahead and say that I just think, despite the Carfax, despite maybe even a little bit of corrosion, I've just seen these things trade for so much money. I believe that a black on black stick North American spec is going to break 50 grand even on DeMuro's site. So I'm going to say $51,000, and it sells there.
Yeah. Okay. Man, I'm going to bet the over. I know I'm going to lose on this one, and say 55, because I think that's what it's worth. I think it's worth about 55 to 65, somewhere in that range. It could just
Yeah.
stall out at like, here's what I think will actually happen. It'll probably stall out at like 40 something. But
Right.
I'll bet
Right.
the over
Yeah.
just because I think that's what it's actually worth, and we'll see if the audience is
Yeah.
there. I mean, it'd be crazy if it doesn't. It's crazy that the Unimog didn't make it, and it's crazy that this one's sitting down so low. Given what we saw yesterday, we saw these mad rallies on cars that are like, what the hell?
Right.
So
Right.
we'll see what
Well,
happens
this one
here.
could have one. This could
Yeah.
have a mad rally. That's a good. So
Yeah.
now, JP, here's another, like, talk about a day full of spaceships.
Mhm.
How about bringing home the Unimog and the Delorean to your garage on the same day? Would that not be a crazy to have those juxtaposed in your front driveway? 1981 DeLorean DMC-12. This car is offered to us out of Hubbardston, Massachusetts, with just 8,000 original miles. This car was famously given to Johnny Carson by a studio as an executive demo, and the owner of the car, current owner, the consigner, makes no qualms about that with the vanity plate that says Johnny X, which is pretty funny. These cars employed a 2.9 liter V6 that was a joint venture between Peugeot, Renault, and Volvo. This is a little normally aspirated V6 that only made 130 horsepower and 150 pound-foot of torque. This car does not come with a flex capacitor, so please, buyer beware. This car is not that fast and will not take you back in time. It's a shame that this motor it didn't have a turbocharger. If this was a forced induction 0.9 liter V6, this thing would have been a rocket. Even at just 300 horsepower, this car would have been a blast. But DeLorean was suffering all kinds of financial difficulties, and then started doing some crooked stuff to try and keep his family and his company afloat. As such, these cars never evolved. They never developed. Brought to us, I think these cars were sort of sold out of Ireland, of all places. The most you would ever expect to see an unused DeLorean would be about $65,000, JP. Yet this car with the Johnny Carson Casse is sitting at $110,000 on 13 bids. That surprises me because of all the celebrities to have previously owned a car. Johnny Carson, as far as I know, wasn't known as a car guy. So what's the point? Most people that are younger than us don't even know who the hell Johnny Carson is. So this price absolutely stuns me because it just doesn't line up for me. I don't understand how to connect the dots. Why somebody is out there spending $110,000 on a former Johnny Carson DeLorean of all things. So there are nicer ones out there for less money. So what's the point?
I think the Johnny Carson fans out there and collectors, they don't care what it is if it's something that's directly connected to Johnny Carson. I love that there's a specific shot of a cigarette burn in the carpet, which Carson was notorious for being a chain smoker.
A smoker, yeah.
So yeah. I find
Yeah.
it surprising that they gave him, everybody knows that Jay Leno is a car guy, but they
Totally.
give this car to Johnny Carson with a manual. When I first saw this and I saw the Carson thing, I'm like, wait a minute, it's got to have an automatic. I just don't see, I can't imagine with the 19,000 miles that are on this car, I can't imagine Johnny Carson put, how many miles?
8,000.
Oh, 8,000. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
The 8,000 miles. I can't imagine. That doesn't change what I was about to say because I can't imagine Johnny Carson put more than a couple hundred miles on this thing. His assistant or his kid or his wife, one of his many ex-wives, someone else drove this car. He didn't drive it.
Sure.
I don't see him driving anything other than a Rolls with automatic or sitting in a limo and having someone else drive him around.
Absolutely, he had to have been driven around. JP, he lived in Malibu and he worked in Burbank. So I mean,
it was a lot easier to get to from those two places back then. But
he was so loaded at the end. They probably flew him in a helicopter to work. I mean, my God, crazy. So, anyways, JP, I don't know, man. This car it baffles me. It's already way over the mark. I was thinking that this car was going to continue to rally, but at the $110,000, it's only on 13 bids. So I'm not sure there's a lot of room left in the car. I'm going to go $116,000. And of course it sells. This car passed its reserve $100,000 ago. You know what I mean? So there you go.
Well, I mean, there are some celebrities that add value to vehicles, and some. I mean, I think there was a Shaquille O'Neal car that was on one of the auctions the other day,
Right.
and you got to go. I was like, does that help or does that actually hurt the value? I mean, I wouldn't want to touch any of the carpets. I mean, there's got to be DNA in that thing everywhere. I mean, gross. I don't want that car. Whereas this car, that Johnny Carson was in there, but he was probably in there once, and but that could be enough of the fact that it was in his name.
Yeah.
Somebody wants this car because of him. Whoever it is probably doesn't really care about the car. They just want that thing. So I mean, you said what, 115?
16.
116. All right, I'm going under. I'll go 115. We'll go that close on a six figure. I'm a total chicken on this one. But I think we're gonna get whooped today. So, some neat cars today. I mean, what an amazing collection! A '95 Land Rover, an '87 Scirocco, and that unbelievable Unimog that we already know where that one went. Doesn't look like that's going to a new home. But I'll definitely be looking at that Scirocco a little later, and maybe you guys can join us. Do some comments. Let us know what cars you want us to talk about, because there's a million cars. We don't talk about them all. We just talk about the ones that are most interesting to us. This is the daily nerd out of the most interesting cars on Cars and Bids and Bring a Trailer. When you're on Bring a Trailer or on Cars and Bids and you're doing comments there, tell people about Bid Nerds there so people in the community can see. But help us spread the word. We're a new channel. We're having a lot of fun. We really want your guys' interaction because this is a great time with you guys. This is another episode of Bid Nerds. We're going to sign out, and we're going to see you guys tomorrow. Deeb, anything you want to say before I hit the end button?
One more tease ahead. John Alcantara has selected our good friend, John Alcantara, friend of the Bid Nerds, Vegas resident, car and motorcycle enthusiast, great guy. You show him. John Alcantara has selected a car for us on Friday, and just to give one little extra tease, cup. We're going to raise a cup.
We're going to raise a cup. I like that.
Yeah.
It's that is going to be very exciting. Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you tomorrow in the 9 o'clock hour. Bid Nerds, your daily nerd out on the most interesting cars on Cars and Bids, and Bring a Trailer. See you tomorrow.